Hello everyone, welcome to this Arduino programming tutorial. In this video we are going to solve 4 activities including how you can use Arduino as a calculator and how you can compare numbers using Arduino. So let's get started. First question here. Write a simple code that multiplies two numbers 7.3 and 21. Then display the result in the serial monitor. So as a first step you have to write our two main functions, which are void setup and then open the curly bracket and void loop, then the curly bracket. You can write it like this or you can write it in this way. Okay, you cannot write any code without writing those two main functions. Here we need to use the Arduino as a calculator, right? We want to present something in the serial monitor, right? So we have to start with serial.begin to start the communication between the serial monitor and the Arduino. So serial.begin, and then let's make the speed at 9600 and don't forget the semicolon. Okay, so here we start the communication between the Arduino and the serial monitor. Okay, so now we will declare our variables. So how we can declare our variable, as I already explained, this one you have to think of a variable like a box. You have to name this box and give it a type. 7.3 and 21. Okay, so 7.3 is, what is the type of this variable? 7.3 is it's a point number, right? So we have to use float here. So here we'll write float, and then we have to give it a name, variable name. Let's call it num1. Then initialize it. What is the num1? Is 7.3, and then don't forget the semicolon. The other number is 21. What is the data type of this? It is integer, right? So let's write integer and then num2 equal to 21 and then the semicolon. Now you need to store this value in something. Okay, you want the result, right, of 7.3 multiplied by 21. This is the question. So you need to identify or declare a new variable here, and let's call it result. Here, if I want to multiply this number with this number, by default the result will be float, right? Because float number multiplied by integer, it will give you float number. So you have to write here float, and then it's a result. Do we know the answer? Yes, we can do the calculation, but in this case we want the Arduino to do the calculation for us, right? Let's not give any answer here. Okay, so now we identified our variable. We start the serial communication using serial.begin. Now I want to write the simple mathematical operation. Okay, here in this case we want the Arduino to multiply num1 multiplied by num2, and this value should be stored in result, right? So in this case it's multiplication, so we will use the star expression. Okay, and we will store it in result. So result here is equal to num1. It's better to copy paste the same so you will avoid any mistake or any typo error, multiplied by num2. Okay, and then semicolon. So now if I start the simulation, do you think something will appear here in the serial monitor? No. Why? Because I didn't print anything here. So to print something and to see the result here, we have to use serial.print. Okay, so let's stop the simulation and use serial dot. Of course, here don't forget the red color here. I make it red so you can directly connect that it is a capital letter. Okay, don't forget it's a case sensitive. Okay, so serial dot print. Okay, here what do I want to print? What do I want to print here? I want to see the result, so I'll take the copy of this result and I want to see it here. Okay, now let's start the simulation, and here is the answer. So now let's play with the code. Let's change numbers. What if I want the Arduino to calculate 10 multiplied by 1.5, for example? Let's start the simulation. See, it's 15. So it keeps changing the question. What if I want to multiply 1 by 1.5? Start the simulation again, 1.5. So as you can see here, you can play with the data and you can get different results each time. So now let's move to the second activity. So in this question, write a code to compare two numbers. The code should check whether the first number is greater than or equal to the second, and then display the result on serial monitor. Okay, so let's go to Tinkercad. As usual, there are two main functions. So since we are going to use the serial monitor, directly I have to initialize the serial communication between the Arduino and the serial monitor. How to do that? We use this by using serial.begin, right? And don't forget, serial here is capital letter. The S is capital letter. So serial.begin, the speed 9600 bits per second. Okay, and then the semicolon. Now the second step is to identify our variables, or to declare the variables. In this question, we have two numbers. We have to compare two numbers, right? num1 and num2, right? So we have to add another variable for the result. So let's declare our variable. There will be two numbers, and those two numbers will be integers. So int, as you can see here, the term we use int, right? If it's integers, num1, and then give any number. Let's make it 11. Then don't forget the semicolon. And then the other number, int num2, let's make it 3, for example. Okay, and then finally here for the result. In this case, or in this question, we want the Arduino to check if it's correct or not, if 11 is greater than 3 or not, right? So there is only two options, whether it's true or false, right? So in this case, what type do you think we are going to use? Exactly, it will be Boolean data. So what term we use? We use BOOL. So BOOL, and then let's call it a result. And then the semicolon. So here we defined our variable. Now what will be the next step? So the last step here is to use if statement here. Okay, of course we are going to use if else statement, because we want to check if num1 is equal to num2, it will give us true. If not, it will give us false, because we use Boolean here. Okay, so if we want it to be repeated in a loop, we will write our code here. But in this case, I want just to make it only once, so I will write it inside void setup. Okay, so I will use if statement. If here I will write my condition, and then here I will write the action. Else here I will write the second action. or the second statement. Okay, here, what is my statement? Of course, to write the statement here, I have to go back to the rational operator. In this case, we want to check if num1 is greater than or equal to num2. So we're gonna use this expression here, greater than or equal. So greater than or equal to what? To this num2. Again, it's better for you to copy than make any typo error. Okay, so num1, num2. If I make space here, it's fine. It will not affect your code. Okay, so here is the condition. If num1 is greater than num2, what will be the result here? This result will equal to true. So as you can see here, the true is changed to blue, right? Because this is connected to Boolean data. Okay, of course, if it's true, it will give you 1. If it's false, it will give you 0. So now else, if num1 is not greater or equal to num2, the result here will be false, right? So I will copy here and then I'll paste it here and I'll change true to false. Okay, now if I start the simulation again, nothing will show up here. Why? Because I didn't print the data. I didn't use serial.print to present my data here. Okay, so here we will use serial.print. I want the serial monitor to represent this sentences, so I will use this quotation mark here and I will write num1 is greater or equal to num2, and then I'll put this, close the quotation mark and then close the bracket, and don't forget the semicolon. Okay, here if I run the code, it will give me the sentences only. Okay, but I don't have the result. To present the result, I have to pass the result variable to our serial.print. So serial.print, here I have to pass what? Here I have to pass my result. Of course, if num1 is greater than num2, it will give me 1. If num1 is not greater or equal to num2, it should give me 0. So let's check with those two numbers, 11 and 3. What will be the answer here? Let me clear this and start the simulation again. So as you can see here, num1 is greater or equal to num2, and yes, 11 is greater than 3. So the calculator do the logical operators and then it gives me 1 as yes, it's true. Number 1 is greater than number 3. And that's it for this question. So now let's play with this code. So let's play with the numbers here. Let's write here 0 and make this 10. And let's start the simulation and check. See? It's not true. num1 is not greater than num2. So the answer here is 0. Let's stop the simulation, change the number. Let's make it here 100. So num1 here is larger than num2, right? So it should give me here what? 1. Let me clear this and start the simulation again. And here is 1. So that's it. So now let's move to the third activity for today's video. Consider the following code. There is code here and then the question, explain the function of this code. So let's read the code together. As you can see here, there are 4 variables. 3 of them are numbers and one of the 4 variables are for the result. And as you can see, it's a Boolean data, whether it's true or false, whether it gives me 0 or 1. Okay, and then there is a void setup. In the void setup, there is the if statement, if, and here this bracket, this rounded bracket, and then the curly bracket for the action, its result equal true, and then else result equal false. And there's nothing inside the void loop. To have something in the serial monitor, we have to use serial.begin and serial.print to represent the data. Okay, this is very important here. And now, as you can see, let's understand the if statement here. It's very simple. If num1 is greater than num2 or num1 is greater than num3, the result will be true. So num1 here should be greater than num2 and greater than num3. Is num1 greater than num2 and num3? No. Num1, as you can see here, is less than num2 and num3. Okay, so now let's start the simulation. As you can see, it gives me 0. Why? Because num1 is not larger than num2 or num3. It's less, so it's 0. And that's it. So let's check the answer. The code compares 3 numbers. It checks whether the first number is greater than the second or the third numbers, and then display the comparison result on the serial monitor. Of course, this line will be true if you add the serial.begin and the serial.print. Okay, so in this case, as you can see here, the Boolean operator turns 0, meaning that it's false. Num1 is not greater than num2 or num3. That's it for this question. So now let's play with this code. Let's stop the simulation and check. What if I change the number here? 9, 10, 1. Okay, and then we'll check, is num1 greater than num2? No. So the result will be 0. But we have OR here. So is num1 greater than num3? Yes, it is. So if it's yes, that means it's true. That means I have to have 1 here. Let's check and see whether I will get 1 or not. Exactly, 1. Let's give it different answer here. And check, is num0 is the first number is greater than this one or this one? Of course not, 0 is not. So let's clear the information here and start the simulation again. As you can see, zeros, that means it's false, it's not. So that's it for this question. So now let's move to the final activity for today's video. So we have integer, we have one variable, we call it name1, we give it number 1. Okay, in the void setup, of course, I use the serial.begin to start the communication, so I can use this serial communication, so that's why I use serial.begin. And then I use this line of code, this simple mathematic operation. Okay, if you can recall from the previous videos, I've explained how you can simply understand this. So this one is actually num1 plus 5. Okay, num1 here is 1 plus 5, so the answer of num1, it should be now 6. Start the simulation and check the answer. Exactly, num1 here is 6. So let's have a quick review on this. If you have a plus equal b, in this case you have to make a equal a plus b. Okay, the same here, so num1 equal num1 plus 5. and num1 here is 1, and you add the 5 on it, so it will be 6. So now let's play with the code. Let's check, what if I change this to 10, for example? What will be the answer here? So num1 will be 10. So the function here will be 10 plus 5. So I should get here 15. So let's check if it's 10. What will be the answer? Exactly, it's 15. So that's it for today's video. I hope you understand very deeply how you can use the Arduino as a calculator, and how you can compare numbers, and how you can play with numbers. Thank you very much and good luck.